KUUU, South Jordan, Salt Lake on HD1 and KUDD, American Fork HD3.
Unrestricted with Dre Rocca, only on U92.
U92, your number one for hip hop is Dre Rocca, and I got some special guys in the building. The guys from the Damage Plan MMA podcast, Justin and Zach. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm Jason. My bad.
Jason. Justin.
You didn't even correct me.
I was just gonna flow with it.
He's too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I brought you a hat, Dre, and this is
I
what
know.
you do to
This
me?
is what you do to me, Dre. Come on, man. Give me the hat back.
How you guys doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, man. I'm really excited. We got the Fierce Fighting Championship number 18.
Yes.
That we're getting ready for.
Yeah.
January 29th, man. It's a Saturday. Why should we be excited about this fight, man?
This card is there's a lot of high level talent on this card. For those that don't know, Utah is a sneaky good hotbed for MMA that people just don't really know about. There's been tons of great shows here. Showdown was huge. Steel Fist is the longest running MMA show in Utah. They put on a great show. Fierce is we're getting to the point where Fierce is going to be another one of those mainstay shows. And with that, we're trying to bring the highest level talent that we can to the state and show some of our talent from the state of Utah that we can compete with anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, we have UFC vets on this card, Bellator vets, ONE FC vets. For those that don't know, ONE FC's probably the biggest organization in the world over in Asia. It's going to be awesome.
Jason, why? What fighters on here are you excited to see?
So there's a handful of our Utah fighters that are coming up on here. We got Johan Rubio, who fights out of Jeremy Horn's gym. He's always super exciting to watch. He's been with Jeremy Horn for a long time. He's actually a Salt Lake police officer.
Oh, dope.
So Johan Rubio is on this card. We have Carson Hardman and Connie Carrera. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name too bad. Both two high-level welterweights coming in to fight each other.
Got to learn a little bit about, you said Connie?
Connie, correct, yes.
On your guys' podcast.
Yeah.
Dope dude.
Connie's wild.
He took a short notice fight at the last Fierce Fighting against Mitch Ramirez. So those of you that are listening to this know who Mitch Ramirez is. He's one of the guys that we picked on our podcast as the next guy to go to the next level. And Connie from Utah, Connie gave him everything.
3 rounds. Went to a decision.
War.
And it was getting dicey for Mitch there for a little bit. And Connie doesn't have like this nice, sexy record, but since he's come back to fighting, he had a long layoff, and since he's come back, he's a tornado of action. And Carson's had some of the most memorable moments in Utah MMA for the past few years. That fight's going to be insane. We
have Camp Mafaleo. He's making this will be his second pro fight. So he made his pro debut on the last Fierce Fighting Championship card. And if you listen to our podcast, he said he wanted to be the most violent heavyweight in Utah history. And after that last fight,
man.
Yeah. So super excited to have him on the card.
I don't know. Have you? I seen Silverback knock this dude out at one of his fights. Iman.
Oh, Eric. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Eric's not on the card anymore.
Unfortunately.
We had him on the card, but due to some COVID issues and some other things, that fight's no longer on the card, unfortunately.
But still, big heavyweight fights coming.
Big heavyweight fights. We have Trevor Bradshaw on this card.
That's my guy.
Trevor the man. And if you've ever watched a Trevor fight, yeah.
You've never seen a boring fight.
Never been in a boring fight.
Never
been in a boring fight.
Does he have an opponent?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. He is fighting
K.O.
Myers. From Hawaii. Coming in from Hawaii. So we'll get to showcase some of this Utah talent.
Now, didn't he do bare knuckle as well? Or was he going to?
He was signed to going to, but just for whatever reasons, it hasn't worked out. I don't know. I guess he still could.
Yeah, as far as I know, he signed with him, but he just has not had a fight yet.
Man, a lot of stuff going on this card, man. I'm really excited to see Ramirez fight. I seen him, and I started following him on Instagram, and I'm like, this guy, he has that quality, right? He has the look, right? He has the drive, and he likes to bang too. Like, that's a deadly combination.
He's had a couple finishes that are just jaw-dropping finishes, here in Salt Lake. And yeah, I mean, again, he's another guy, unfortunately, was on this card. Things don't work out. Apparently, when you knock people out the way that he does, there's not a huge line of people that want to fight him.
No, not
right?
at all.
But we'll get him a fight lined up for April. We have our next show will be in April. But the talent in Utah, that's the talent in Utah is on par with everybody, and they just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And that's what Fierce, I think our goal and our main objective is to show, like, we have guys, we'll welcome people from all over the world to fight our Utah guys, and we'll show that we can stack up with anybody.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What's the biggest misconception about fighting, about mixed martial arts?
Man,
about this sport.
Zach's the fighter
I
out
mean,
of us.
I think the biggest misconception that I can think of is people just think that there's still this element of maybe it's human cockfighting. Maybe just a bunch of just a bunch of crazy people that just lock themselves in a cage, like barroom brawl type.
Yeah.
Cage fighting. The thing that people need to understand, and fighters are getting better at this, but these are professional athletes. They train 2-3 times a day. Their nutrition, they're making scraps for money in most cases, trying to do whatever they can to fight. But a lot of these guys, to their core, are martial artists. Discipline, hard work, respect. Those are the core values around martial arts. And if you see most of the people perform at these shows here in Utah, you're going to see true martial artists that are respectful, they're good people. Like you just see this glimpse of them in the cage when you flip that switch and they turn into a killer, and it's kill or be killed in there. But after we all just go home to our families. A lot of us are married, have kids, things like that. I think that's the misconception, is they think that fighters are these dangerous, wild people, and really we're just human beings too. But that's just our outlet that we choose to compete in.
Absolutely, and I think you hit it on the head, man. The discipline, in this sport, I would argue that it's more disciplined than the NFL, the NBA, right? I feel like the level of discipline not to lose your cool at the end of those 3 or 5 minute rounds, right, and to be able to shake hands or at least show some type of respect, regardless if you get choked out or you get knocked out or if it goes to a decision. Like, that's a lot of discipline, right?
Yeah, when you share, I've gone to, I've done 5 rounds and I've done a couple 3-round decisions. But no matter what, when you share that time in a cage with another human being, even if you personally don't like them, you will respect them. I think of very few cases where after a fight it isn't respectful. You watch UFC fights, Bellator, any of the local shows, most of the time, over 90% of the time, it's nothing but respect after. And again, because when you compete with somebody, and to me, MMA is the purest form of competition. It's me versus you locked in a cage, and let the best man win. When you compete with somebody and it's so intimate and that close like that, you share something unique that less than 1% of the population gets to share. And win, lose, or draw, there is a respect level between opponents after the fight's done.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling Jason about how the correlation between fighting and hip hop, right? There's such a beautiful correlation there. Will we ever see some hip hop into like integration with fighting, with maybe it's a performance during the intermission or something like that?
You could. I think that's the beauty with MMA, is it literally welcomes all walk of life.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You could go to any MMA gym across the valley and you get, I'm an insurance agent. You get cops, you get felons, you get, construction workers, you get IT guys, you get, again, salesmen, all walks of life. And we're all in the sport. And when you walk through the door, you check your ego at the door, whoever you are outside of the gym, and in there, all interests and everything. It's just such a melting pot and a mixture of all different walks of life. That's the beauty with MMA. You can have hip hop, you can have, you can country, you can have whatever. What you listen to the walkout songs, you get a variety of them.
Quite the variety of walkout songs.
I've heard everything from hard rock to Disney music. People walk out to. It could be anything.
Yeah. What song gets you hyped? What's your go-to walkout song? Are you like a hardcore? Does it even matter?
Skillet. I've walked out to Skillet a handful of times.
I don't even know what your walkout songs have been.
Monster by Skillet. I've done Imagine Dragons. All the Above by was like more of a hip hop song, was my last walkout song. My 9-year-old son Hunter, he picks my walkout songs.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yep. So shout out to Hunter. But yeah, so Hunter actually we go through some things and he picks my walkout songs normally.
Anytime I hear somebody come out to DMX, I'm going for that person.
Yeah.
There's apparently there's rules to walkout songs that we didn't know about. There's like certain songs that you just don't pick when you walk out.
Really?
Yeah, they're jinxed. And Zach would probably, I can't remember the songs.
Eminem.
Eminem was one of them.
If you walk out to an Eminem song, you're probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
Let the Bodies Hit the Floor by Drowning Pool. That's like a.
That's what I would have definitely picked.
You're like,
That's
yeah,
a cheap song. We learned these from now UFC vet Chris Curtis. He's fighting in the UFC. We did a commentary with him for a Fierce showdown in Price, and he told me the rules. And the other good insight that he gave us on that is it depends. If you walk out first, the song is for you, right? But if you walk out second, your song is for your opponent because he's sitting in the cage waiting and he has to listen to it.
Oh, hey, it's a mental thing.
It's a mental thing, right? So I've never thought about that as much, but those were the rules from a vet in the game, Chris Curtis.
So what is Damage Plan MMA podcast involved in? Like, what's your guys' involvement in Fierce Fighting?
So just recently, Cody Bunderson is the owner of Fierce MMA. He owns a gym down in Price, and he's been putting on these Fierce fights, and he basically just reached out and asked us for some help running the show, and so I've been helping with the matchmaking, and and Jason's been helping with marketing it, and getting us
sponsors, getting us out here, try to get some ticket sales.
Running a promotion, it takes a team, and so he just invited us to come be on his team, and we took that opportunity.
Did you guys ever think that starting your podcast would land you where you are now?
No, I can't say that.
Not this. No, I mean, we knew eventually that it would open some doors for us, but when we started this with we had no inclinations of, we knew we weren't going to be making any money. We weren't trying to make money. We just wanted to give local fighters a platform to promote their fights, promote their sponsors, and promote themselves. And we did that. We give everybody an opportunity. If you have a fight lined up, it doesn't matter if you're an 0-0, if you're 0-10. If you have a fight lined up and you want to come on our podcast and you ask, we are getting you on our podcast. And that's everything from MMA. We've had boxers on. We've had bare knuckle people on. Wow. If you have a fight and you're in the fight game, we're going to give you an opportunity to jump on the podcast with us.
Can bare knuckle, is it sanctioned in the U.S.? I thought it was only sanctioned in like
Wyoming.
Mexico.
Wyoming is now legal, bare knuckle boxing. And you can see it. Montana. Florida. I believe those are the 3 states right now that it's legal.
Will you guys ever jump in that game?
No.
Not my favorite, but
like when I say no, for me, it's not. I mean, not that we wouldn't support a bare knuckle boxer. We have people that follow our podcast that are, we appreciate and stuff that are involved in that, and that's fine. But for me, I think it's a regression towards the sport of what MMA is working towards, of not human cockfighting. It's pretty brutal, and I think that it takes a little bit of the technique.
It kicks the art away from it, in my opinion. The art, the discipline.
The art out of martial arts.
Yeah.
That's more like barroom brawl stuff. And hey, it fills an appetite. They get good crowds. They get good, I think they get decent ratings. I'm not positive on that, but I know they're throwing around a lot of money to those fighters. And but for me, visually, when I watch it, it's not my favorite.
Yeah, it's hard.
We have UFC, right? Obviously, that's kind of the hierarchy in MMA.
Yep.
What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like on UFC specifically, on these bigger organizations?
Well,
I was just going to say, I think it's great. It's a great platform. You're getting a lot of slack recently with fighter pay. But listen, the sport's it just barely hit 25 years. Mm-hmm. It's still a growing sport. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but for however many years, the UFC was losing money, and they're just starting to get big. They're on ESPN. They're on network TV. It was ABC or CBS, whatever they were on not too long ago. So they're starting to get that exposure out there, and as you start to see that grow, I think you'll start to see fighters' pay starts to grow. But it's still, that is, every fighter's dream is to get into the UFC. You don't hear a lot of fighters saying, "Hey, I want to go to Bellator," or "Hey, I want to go here." They want to go to the UFC because that's where the best of the best are.
Yep. So, do you this might be a silly question, but do you ever, I know we talked about Ramirez, but do you ever see Utah being that hub of like recycling our guys, getting our guys in there, right, from Utah?
100%.
We seen Court McGee had 100%. A huge win over the weekend.
Huge win.
He looked awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what Fierce Fighting Championship. That's the goal of the organization, is to be an organization that is putting guys in those next level organizations, right? Where we want to, not every state has promotions that local guys can build their professional record up and go straight to a Dana White Contender Series, the Ultimate Fighter Show, or straight into the UFC. Fierce is working towards becoming that, and we've had some guys fight for Fierce recently since we've been back from COVID that are in the UFC. Chris Curtis, main event at the Maverick Center just last year. He's in the UFC now.
Yep. He looked great too.
Yeah. He's gone 2-0 in the UFC. Yep. And we
really quick turnaround too.
Very quick turnarounds.
Yeah. We do, and Fierce feels like we do feel like that we can be, one of those organizations that is feeding fighters, and that the UFC goes to and says, hey, these guys are putting on quality fights with high level MMA fighters. This is a show that we want to be looked at as we can look at for talent from this organization as in Fierce Fighting Championship.
Fierce Fighting Championship, Saturday, January 29th at the Maverick Center. You go get your tickets at fiercefightingchampionship.com. What is something that Utah MMA is doing really well at? What are we doing really, really well at?
Putting well-rounded fighters into these situations. We have gyms all across the valley, from Agema to the Pit in Salt Lake City, Jeremy Horn's gym, my gym, One Hit MMA, Team Link up there. I mean, these are all gyms that are putting well-rounded fighters. We're entering a new stage into MMA where being a really good striker, it just isn't enough. Being a really good grappler just isn't enough. If you want to get to the highest of high levels, you better have a well-rounded game.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of gyms that do a very, very good job of producing well-rounded fighters. And we're seeing that more and more debuters are coming through in shows like Steel Fist. And if you see some of those Amis comes in, those 0-0 guys, they're coming in with a ton of skills. And I just think that's the evolution of the sport. But I think that that's something that Utah is a good breeding ground for.
What do we need some help with? What are we slacking on?
It's promotion. Getting the word out to let people know that Utah does have an amazing MMA scene, all the way from Ogden to Tooele to Cedar City. Mm-hmm. It is stacked with high quality gym, high quality coaches, high quality fighters, and like Zach said, we're putting out. Utah as a whole, they're putting out these fighters, like Zach said, that are coming in 0-0. These guys aren't just the barroom brawls. These guys have skills. These guys look like they've had 5 or 10 fights when they step in there as 0-0 debuters. So the gyms are getting these guys ready, and we just need to get the word out there to show people. I think that's just Utah in general. People think of Utah, they don't really think that's with everything, with sports. Now, obviously, the Utah Utes, we're in the Pac-12, and we're kind of making our name for ourselves there. But when people think of Utah, they don't think of us as having athletes or fighters.
It took time for the Utes, though, right? When they're in the Mountain West, they didn't. I mean, they just ran through teams, but when they got to the Pac-12, they had to prove themselves, right?
Yep.
I think that we're in that kind of weird spot now where you got old MMA local heads like myself and like you guys that know what it was, know where it's going, see the growth, right? You can see it. I mean, look at you guys. You guys are the #1 MMA podcast in the state. You guys are doing your part by showing these athletes, showing us the consumer these athletes on a different light. But things take time, you know what I mean? And I think that it's at that point where we need to do it now. We need to do it now. We need to capture these people while we can still do it, you know, and put on great shows, right? One thing that we've done as a team with Fierce Fighting Championship is we've started an anti-bullying campaign. That's awesome. So it's called Be Fierce, Be Kind. Yeah. It's an anti-bullying campaign, and what we're doing is we're taking a percentage of ticket sales and we're going to spotlight 2 gyms at each show. This gym we're spotlighting Sierra MMA, that's where I train out of, and the Pit SLC with Ramsey Najim. So a portion of our ticket sales are going to go to these gyms to be able to help underprivileged kids that maybe are getting bullied, that can't pay for a gym membership, and help them get the training that they need. What am I missing about that? Just to help grow the sport too, you know. There's kids, you know. I mean, it's not the most expensive sport in the world to be in, but you know, but it's not the cheapest either, right? Yeah. You know, you have to get the equipment, you got to get the mouth guard, the gloves, shin pads, a gi, you know, to train jiu-jitsu. I'm thinking of like the insurance part of it, right? Like, you can easily break a bone or something like that. I mean, just like any other sport, but that is a cost as well. They will have, so each one of those gyms they're going to do like a little demonstration in between fights. They'll have like a little, you know, they'll have some of their kids are going to come there and they'll do like a little self-defense classes during the intermissions at the fight. So hopefully just getting the word out and just letting people know that, you know, these MMA gyms, you know, take it from me personally. I wasn't the type of person to go train. I like to lift weights. I didn't want to go do jiu-jitsu or go do Muay Thai. That stuff didn't interest me. But since I've joined that gym, I've started to see, you know, that it's okay to walk into that gym because everybody's going to treat you with respect when you walk into that gym. Nobody's there to make you feel bad. It's all about respect. Yeah, man. Not gonna lie, that's a fear of a lot of people trying to go into the gym or in general, because one, you don't know anything, right? Yep. You're there to learn, right? But I think that if you go in there with the ego and like maybe you're trying to act like the biggest, toughest guy, it's probably not the right thing to do. It won't end well for you. It's not going to end well, I promise you, if you think you're a big tough guy. I mean, just little my story. If people listen to the podcast, they've heard it, but people don't. I walked into an MMA gym to get my kid involved. He's now 9. He was 4, almost 5 at the time. I was 270 pounds. I'd never done any martial arts training, no wrestling, no nothing my entire life. And it was one of the pros at the gym that was like, man, you should come train with us. And then I went to my first live event and I was hooked, and I was in the gym the next Monday. And now I am 7 fights, amateur fights later, you know, podcast. It's my favorite sport now. It's like, you know, my wife teases, Hillary teases it, you know, it's taken over our lives, but it's become my passion and my love. Yeah. Because everybody at the gym, even the pros, even the professional fighters, they were welcoming and inviting. They took the time to, you know, maybe they didn't get as good of a workout, but they took the time to teach me and show me. And again, that's the martial arts part of it, the discipline and the respect and things like that people don't understand. It's not just a bunch of tough guys. Trust me, when they're in that cage, that is not the time you want to, but you know, you want to get in front of them. But you know, in the training room, like the really, really good guys and girls that want to help and share and share what they love. It's just like anything. If you have something that you're passionate about and you love and it brings you happiness and joy, you want to share it with people. MMA is no different. I was going to touch on that. The one thing about the MMA community that I like is we can go into a gym. Like I was just in Sacramento, Team Alpha Male, Uriah Faber's gym. Yeah. There's tons of UFC fighters in there. Every one of those guys, they were the first person to speak to me when I walked by. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? You know, Cody Garbrandt walks by, chopping it up with Cody Garbrandt like it's nothing. Because of the tattoos. It's just, yeah. It's the tattoos. But, you know, they don't have big heads. They're, you know, and this guy's at the top. He was the UFC champ at one time, you know, and it's the humbleness, it's the respectfulness of MMA that's made me fall in love with the sport. And now I'm doing the sport. I'm not going to fight, but. Why not? No. I've been trying. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be 46 next week. I'm not trying to be. I mean, was what, 55? He's younger than me. Man, well, UFC level, are there any upcoming fights that you're super excited about? Oh, next weekend.
UFC pay-per-view, UFC 270.
Yeah, I mean, world heavyweight champ. It's very weird. We talked about it on a podcast today. It's very, very weird because there's not a lot being built up around, but it's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Two scary guys.
Two scary guys.
You know, you have the destroyer type guy in Francis that it just takes one punch and he could put out anybody's lights on this planet.
Yeah.
Like 7 billion people on this planet, and he's probably the scariest to take a punch from. And then you have Cyril Gane, who's probably the most skilled heavyweight we've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
arguably, yeah.
I mean, it's you know,
and they trained together.
And they did train together.
They used to train together.
It wasn't very much, though. I heard it was just kind of like a passing through.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of a quick thing. It's not.
It's a nice storyline, though.
Yeah, it
but
is
they're not telling it.
No,
I feel like this doesn't have no hype.
No, that we talked about it today on the podcast. Then you have the co-main event, Brandon Moreno. Speaking of Brandon Moreno, one of the guys, Aleko Poinar, who's fighting on this January 29th card, Fierce Fighting Championship, trains with Brandon Moreno.
Wow.
Main training partner.
Main training partner with Brandon Moreno, was down in Mexico training with him at his training camp. So this is the type of fighters we have coming up to Utah to fight with our Utah guys as well. Anyways, but yeah, you got the co-main event, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo. Three, which, you know, once again, it's something that we're excited about, but I don't know if the mainstream MMA fan is just like,
understand.
Yeah, I don't think they really understand.
Yeah, I had Figueroa. I was going for him for the second fight, but man, did I pick wrong?
You should have listened to our podcast. We could have helped you.
Yeah,
Moreno.
We were all over Moreno.
Moreno. He's the stud. He's a humble guy. Huge Lego fan. My wife's favorite fighter.
Yeah.
He's.
Do we see Jon Jones in a heavyweight fight in the UFC?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I really don't. As much as the people want it to, I just.
So John's playing this game right now, where he's trying to call the shots, but here's the thing with the UFC and with Dana. For most people that I see that don't like Dana, they don't put themselves in his shoes, and most of them aren't business owners. Most business owners and people that understand what he's doing, rather than just putting on fights every weekend, he's trying to build an entire sport, right? He is the main brand that's driving an entire sport right now, and he's building an entire sport. You know, that's expensive, right? And people talk about fighter pay and they want this and that and whatever. Here's the thing with Jon. He wants to be paid like the greatest fighter ever, and he is. But the part is he doesn't promote his fights. He doesn't promote like a Conor McGregor. Everybody wants the Conor McGregor payday, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is they don't. Especially Jon, he doesn't promote fights the way that Conor does.
No, and he's a big ass
Jon,
risk.
Yeah, he's a huge risk.
And how many times, UFC 200 being the biggest, has he cost the UFC how many in millions in promoting one of his fights just for him to what? I mean, he couldn't even come to Vegas to accept a Hall of Fame. One of his fights got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, and you know he had a domestic violence issue. Like, he cannot help himself. And at the end of the day, I think the UFC's just said, you've hurt us one too many times. Like, you're welcome to come fight for us. But, like, the UFC's not going to bend over backwards to help that guy.
No.
He's burned him too many times. And so for him to also say, like, hey, I'm going to just wait. I'm just going to wait for the heavyweight title fight on when I want to come back. He forgets. He needs the UFC a lot more than the UFC needs him.
Facts.
The UFC is going up exponentially right now. And they're doing it without Jon Jones. They were doing it without an active Conor McGregor. He lost twice last year. Didn't matter. He didn't even have to fight, and they still would have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, the UFC is the brand. That's the star. The fighters are what make it so great. But at the same time, who's the face of the UFC? Who's the face of the UFC right now?
I mean, honestly, I would say Conor, but
it's Dana White.
It's Dana White.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but Dana White is the one that's like out there right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dana, because fighters only fight a couple times a year. It's not football where they're out there every week, or basketball where they're out there every night, or baseball. Dana's the only one that's out there every week.
Yep, even on fight nights.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Speaking of superstars, right? Do we have the next superstar? do we have on the UFC side, right? Because you mentioned Conor, that superstar quality. You know, guys like Jon, you know, we put that superstar quality on him. I mean, he was sponsored by Nike for half his career, right? Do we have that next thing? Is Adesanya that guy? Is Moreno that guy?
You're seeing some of the up and coming fighters, the Patty the Batty, Ian Gary, some of those guys from overseas that I think have that star power potential. As of right now, champions right now, Brandon Moreno's huge in Mexico. Like, that fight should have honestly been a main event on another card because of the way that I think the UFC could have promoted that. I mean, you throw that fight down in Mexico and that place is just going crazy.
Well, he's bringing, I'm half Mexican, right?
Okay.
So half my family, boxing. We're all about boxing. But I introduced them to this Moreno guy. Now they're looking at it like, what? We got a Mexican champion?
Yeah.
Now they're paying more attention.
Yeah.
Which I think is how you become a superstar, right? Is how can you change people's mindset, change people's minds and be like, yo, I'm going to try this MMA stuff out, right? I don't know if I've seen that just yet on that level, if that makes sense. Those big paydays where it's like, you know, with Conor McGregor, you know, you get in the box office.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I
think if Ngannou was like mean, if he had
personality, he needs to talk more. He needs to be out there more to get people. He's not grabbing anybody's attention right now.
And he's fantastic when he does. Like if you listen to his Joe Rogan podcast interview,
phenomenal.
He listened to it. I listened to it. You listen to it. Big fan, right?
Yeah.
You listen to it, you become a fan of his. He just doesn't do enough media because it takes time and it takes dedication. And quite frankly, it's exhausting to do same questions. Like the circuit they go through, it's insane. But Conor did that. That's what they don't understand. Conor did two things to get to where he got. One, he was cocky and he was loud and he's boisterous. Two, he backed it up in the cage. Yeah. So every time a mic was in front of him, he took the opportunity to take it and say exactly what he thought. Maybe when it was a little outlandish or whatever. But when you start backing it up time and time again, everybody's going to listen. Jorge Masvidal, same type of thing. He came out and he's like, I'm you know, this is the new me. Yeah. I'm going to come out and finish fights. I'm not going to slow start anymore. You know, sleep stare until in England. And then it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Now everybody's hyped. Flying knee, sleeps Ben Askren in 5 seconds. And just like that, a lifelong journeyman, if you will, just like that overnight becomes a superstar. And now he's the second biggest star in the UFC.
Puts up a good fight in that Usman won in a short amount of time.
Very great fight. Very good fight.
And then he met Usman.
Then then he went to sleep.
You know, Usman's getting there, but he's not the personality. I would say if you want to talk about who has the potential to be the biggest next star, it would be somebody like Sean O'Malley if he can get to the top and keep knocking people out in spectacular fashion.
Is he ranked yet?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he just
did he fight somebody ranked?
The
last guy he was
the last guy was ranked.
Was ranked, yeah.
And he impressively knocked him out, put him down. If he can do that a couple more times, his star power with his charisma is going to be huge.
And it's going to be huge for the marijuana industry too.
Yeah.
Which I'm a fan of. Are you guys pro marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fierce Fighting Championship, January 29th at the Maverick Center. Where can we get tickets?
So if you go to www.fiercefightingchampionship.com, click on one of your favorite fighters or one of our affiliates that are on there because they get credit for the ticket sales on there. So support your local MMA, support your local fighters. You can also order the pay-per-view on there as well. So yeah, that's...
Pay-per-view is only $20 if you can't make it out. It'll be, if you pre-order date of the fight, it'll be $25. Not bad. Here's my challenge to everybody that's listening though. If you watch the UFC, come witness a local MMA show in person. It may not be the big headline names. I have never, in all the events that I've gone to here and out of state, I have never met somebody that was their first show that they weren't hooked.
Yeah, man.
There is something different about being there in person and watching those two people fight. And it doesn't, just because it's not UFC doesn't mean you won't be entertained. I promise you, tickets are only starting at $23. $23 or more, depending on where you want to sit. Come watch the fights in person, witness these professional martial artists. We have everything on this card from 0-0 amateur debuters to UFC vet on this card. Everything in between. And I promise you, from when the doors open at 4 p.m., fights start at 5 o'clock, 14 bouts scheduled right now, you'll have a great time.
Yes.
I promise.
It's definitely worth the money. You're not going to miss out on anything. Make sure you get down there. You know, we often talk about supporting local. It goes to our local fighters as well. You know, we have a lot of local hip-hop musicians that come up here, right? And they look for that support. It's the same thing with our community and these fighters, man. They're putting their lives on the line every time they step into that cage. Make sure you come out. Fierce Fighting Championship, Saturday, January 29th at the Maverick Center. As my man Jason mentioned, fiercefightingchampionship.com is the website. I appreciate you guys for coming through.
Thanks
for having
What's
us.
your socials, by the way?
Just so you know, if you're listening to the pay-per-view, you'll hear us.
Oh,
on the
yeah, they're
pay-per-view.
announcing?
We'll be commentating.
Oh, nice.
We are the commentators.
We are the commentators.
There you go. You need a shirt like that. We are the commentators.
You can follow us. I'm at Ridge79, RIDGE 79. Follow at Fierce Fighting Championship on Instagram as well.
Or at Damage Plan MMA podcast.
Perfect.
On Instagram.
And their Facebook group is growing, so make sure you get a part of their
in our
Facebook
group, yeah.
it's
And we have a lot
awesome.
of fun conversations
It's
in
a
there.
great-
We like to have a good time.
I'm gonna go start an argument. I'm gonna be like,
You know what's crazy?
Conor
is
McGregor is
there's-
better than everybody.
You know what's crazy is there's not that much in our group
We
like
don't-
that.
we don't play like
we
that.
keep it we keep it pretty cool because we have the head of the Utah State Athletic Commission in that
Oh,
group.
wow.
We have all the judges that have judged UFC fights. They're in there breaking down fights for these people. So it's like we try to keep it so that it's not just this, hey, this and that, I want to fight you. It's like, no, we'll cut it out if it gets a little too disrespectful.
That's awesome, man. Go and be a part of the group. Damage Plan MMA, my guys, Zach and Jason. I appreciate you guys for coming through.
Thank you, sir. Be
Thanks for
fierce, be
having
kind.
U92.